Right. So I want to apologize in advance for not streaming the successful attempt. I kind of am a little bit sad about it, but I did record it just in case things took a turn. You know, things did end up being successful, which they did. Looking back, I could probably stream it and just be able to do it. You know, I did it once, I could probably do it again, but kind of want to move on. So yeah, this is like the compromise for that. Not much to say with this first fight. Gyobu is intended to be like the first real boss fight in Sekiro, and it's really not all that difficult. He's got pretty big wind-ups, and deflecting it isn't super hard. Though admittedly, perhaps for this fight you are gonna spend more time just basically attacking him more so than deflecting. This is where most of his posture damage is gonna be from. I do mess up quite a few times, like here. It's a combination of like having done this fight multiple times and taking things for granted and just overall being pretty tired when I was doing this. But it does, in my opinion, showcase one thing, and that is, and is gonna happen a lot throughout this run, I'm gonna have really poor performances all throughout. Like, this is very much a successful attempt by someone who is not a fantastic Sekiro player. But just because of that, it doesn't exactly mean that it's impossible for anyone to do this. I'm just gonna flat out say it. If I can do it, you can do it as well. I truly believe that while it's not easy, it is, much like Sekiro itself, a pretty, you know, it's a matter of like getting accustomed to the systems and whatnot. And really, it's a matter of trying, you know, persevering. I died a total of 31 times in my attempts of getting like all 4 of the gauntlets. And it's gonna sting sometimes. You're gonna die right at the very end. It has happened to me multiple times, and it's not gonna be pleasant. But you do really need to come to terms with that fact and accept defeat as part of the journey. I'm not a particularly good player, as I said, as you can probably see, to be honest. This was not a good Gyobu attempt at all. But the second point that I kind of wanted to make about this is just, sometimes things look really bad, and yet you still come out on top. Like, you're gonna see, Gyobu is not the only fight that I mess up on, and I take more risks than I need. I am basically doing more mistakes that I have any real right to do, and I still come out on top. Because at the end of the day, the important thing is winning. I don't think it really matters whether something went poorly or whether something went really well, if by the end you just complete the whole thing. A little bit more to say about Lady Butterfly. A beginner's trap. I remember the first time that I played Sekiro, when I still didn't really like the game. Like many, it took me a while to adapt to it. I still remember really liking Lady Butterfly. She is a pretty aggressive fight, and it's not one that really takes a lot. Looking back, she's not like super unpredictable, and a lot of her attacks are relatively easy to deflect once you get the hang of it and punish, like this one. One thing you will see me do all throughout the run, not just here, is I will hold the attack button a lot throughout this. And sometimes I won't punish a boss, even though there might be a window for me to do so, because if you hold the attack button, your posture decreases significantly faster than otherwise, and so at times I'll just stay back and let my posture basically replenish, because I feel like that would be better in the long run to have a fuller posture bar, an emptier posture bar than not. See, in this case here, I hold the block button because I'm near the breaking point, and it's best for me to have as much posture as possible. There is an argument to be made that so long as you perfectly deflect everything, even if the posture bar is like at its brink, you will not break. I'm not that good, if you couldn't tell. Here, earlier, I used a snap seed accidentally. You wanna, whenever she summons these ghosts, you wanna kinda go in the center of them. That's how you get as many of them as possible. If you place yourself well, one snap seed is enough for all of them. She can summon them multiple times a fight. The worst I think I got it was like 3 times in a row, but that was like a relatively bad attempt. If you keep your aggression going, it's actually very rare for her to do this to summon more enemies, like to summon the ghosts more than once. With those like spirit kunais that she throws, I basically decided that I have enough health to just tank them and not try to avoid them. But yeah, not a greatest Lady Butterfly attempt, but also not particularly bad, I have to say. Here is the first cut. Again, I recorded this boss per boss. It wasn't one continuous recording, just to make things easier to edit and things like that, and you know, for them to occupy less space. Genichiro is a fight, if I remember correctly, it's a fight that should have gone better. I do some really silly mistakes all throughout. And you know, it's not exactly a good sign this early in the run. But again, sometimes you just win even if things go poorly, and that's okay. That's the only thing that matters. Genichiro is a fight, like this specific encounter with Genichiro is one that you kind of have to respect in every playthrough. I remember the first time that I fought it took me 3 hours to beat, and then every other subsequent run I got it pretty much on the first attempt. But it is a fight that kind of, the way it's positioned in the game kind of puts everything you've learned to the test. Things like this combo specifically, the bikini counters, other like unblockable attacks that you have to deal with. This one, here I do a pretty stupid mistake, because I forget he has a command grab of sorts. And I paid the price for that. That would have been a very good thing to punish had I paid attention. So even if it's an early game boss, you really want to respect it, because it has a lot of tools up its sleeve, and it's never really a good idea to let your guard down against this version of Genichiro. The bikini counters are always like well telegraphed, and they are a good way to basically get as much posture damage as possible. This attack always ends with a stab, and ergo a bikini counter, only in phase 1. In phase 2, he starts mixing it up with several other enders that he can do, and that is, again, to check that you're paying attention and not go into autopilot at all. In phase 1, however, it's always nice to see because it's a very easy counter, all things considered. There's always a pretty good rhythm to this fight. I really like this the first Gunichiro rematch. Again, just because I think it tests you a lot of everything you can learn at that point, and on subsequent playthroughs, it's not the hardest fight in the game, but it's still like a very nice middle of the ground in terms of like checking that you haven't gotten rusty at all. One issue with this fight and a lot of other fights that take place in the same arena is the camera. Earlier we saw that it almost screwed me over. Here I'm expecting the low slash that you can jump on, and I get the stab instead and I get hit by it. Again, going back to what I was saying about having to pay attention at all times, this is an example of it. Here I do get the jump counter. If memory serves, I do mess it up a second time later on. Here, yeah, again, I'm expecting the slash. I get instead the stab. I'm trying to set some distance between me and Genichiro just to recover my posture. I get hit for it. A lot of damage that could have been perfectly avoidable. One of the nice things about this Genichiro fight is that he always like has a specific counter whenever he catches you healing, and that's like shooting the very strong arrow with the long wind up. The thing about that is just it takes an age for him to shoot that arrow, and by the time you have enough time to like deflect and or block it. So it's really nice, and if you have enough distance, it's a good way to like take a little bit of respite. Here I do a pretty bad job deflecting those arrows. Again, I'm not good at the game. I'm good enough to where I can do this challenge, but not good enough to where I can like perfectly deflect anything, really. I'm not using stuff like Moral Draw or the Shinobi tools, mostly because I want to keep them for Phase 3. If you play your cards right in Phase 3, it's already like a short phase, and it can last even less than usual. So that's why I'm being pretty conservative with anything that can use up my my Spirit Emblems. Pro tip, this fight, Phase 3 always starts with that attack. And here, you know, this is the reason why this fight lasts very little. If you get a lightning reflect, it really just... It is always a godsend whenever he does one of those attacks, because they are very easy to deflect, do an insane amount of damage, and also do an insane amount of posture damage. So here, he goes for it again. I'm gonna go Modal Draw again. Look at that vitality and posture damage. Here I kind of mess up, and I mess up again. I choose perhaps the worst possible time to heal. And even still, you know, I'm calm, relatively speaking, because again, it really doesn't take a lot to finish Phase 3. It's kind of a victory lap. I think the idea is like for first-time players, learning how to lightning reversal is a bit of a challenge, but really it's one of the easier things to do when you are familiar with it. It's not used a lot in the game, but it's also not like a super difficult thing to get used to. Here I rest twice, and I do that because I'm paranoid. It has happened a few times where I enter a fight thinking that I rested, and I didn't, and it has costed me runs. So I would rather rest multiple times just to make sure that I'm entering a fight pretty much fully charged. Here I changed my shinobi prosthetics to the Okigana's flame vent. The idea is a fully charged vent attack will stun the ape and do a lot of vitality and posture damage. Here I mess it up significantly, and I use up more spirit emblems than I'd want to. And I remember thinking, I messed this up, this is where the run ends, because I'm in full pessimist mode this attempt. My previous attempts basically like ended right at the very end. Like I was one attack away from victory, and that legitimately put me in a state of depression. So every little mistake that I do in this run, to me, it's like a run ender. It doesn't help that this is a fight that I've grown to kind of hate. I don't think it's a bad fight, but it is a gigantic waste of time, the way it's designed. And it's really not fun having to go through it in multiple gauntlets. Here I do an incredibly stupid mistake. I'm looking at my health bar at this very moment, right? Because I'm poisoned from an attack that I should have been able to avoid. And I'm looking at my health bar and I get hit with that command grab, which normally is like relatively easy to avoid if you jump at the right time. If not, it does have a pretty odd hitbox, so do be careful about it, but it has enough of a windup where you can react to it relatively well. I've used up 3 girds at this point, make that 4. I'm not having a good time. I am doing poorly at a fight that literally I'm not a fan of. There we go, see? This is how you do it, this is how you avoid it. This is possibly my least favorite part of the fight. So the idea on the first playthrough is that this is supposed to be a surprise, like, oh shit, it's the secret phase 2 and nobody expects the secret phase 2. However, on the Gauntlet, you've seen this fight so many times, and this is just, it takes what feels like an eternity for phase 2 to start. It does give you enough time to prepare, so I consume a one use of the ceremonial tanto to get some of my spirit emblems back. I heal up, and I pop a divine confetti. This is now become a fight. If phase 1 was against an animal, this is against an undead. So divine confetti is even more helpful than it already normally is. So it cuts down a little bit on the weight. This is like the thing that you're gonna hope for. There are like a couple of combos that can end in that giant downward chop that the Guardian Ape does. If you deflect that one right, this chop right here, if you deflect it correctly, the Guardian Ape tumbles, and that allows you to use the spear to take the centipede out. And doing that does a lot of posture damage. Here, this combo right here, it's always the one you're looking for. Here, I mess it up. So this is what happens if you don't deflect it perfectly. This is my least favorite attack in the game, just because it takes so long. And every time it happens, like, the pace of the fight just stops to a crawl, because you have to, like, stay away and basically do nothing. Here I get very lucky. He does the downward chop quite a lot. I've had attempts where he barely does it, and phase 2 lasts quite a bit of time. But phase 1 went very poorly, phase 2 went very well. And I guess this is to show what I was saying about earlier, just because something starts off poorly or really goes poorly all throughout doesn't immediately mean that that the run is over. It's not over until it's over, so you keep fighting, is what I've learned. Corrupted Monk, one of my least favorite fights initially, kind of grown to like it. Because of this, I've realized that doing this fight when you get Mortal Draw is preferable. I had done this fight, for whatever reason on my first playthrough, I had fought this fight before going to Senpu Temples, and I didn't have Mortal Draw, and that is a rather significant mistake. The reason why you want Mortal Draw in this fight is that if you pay attention to the monk's posture bar, it recharges like crazy. And you really want the gimmick with this fight, I guess you can call it, is that you need to lower its vitality quite a bit before you can do consistent damage on the posture bar. The issue is the situations where you do get to do vitality damage are not a lot, and because of that it really can feel like this fight lasts an eternity. But Mortal Draw really makes this fight a lot more manageable. See, this combo I really like. It ends with a Mikiri counter, and that allows you to pull off 2 Mortal Draws. I'm using Enhanced Mortal Draw. I basically have like every single skill in the game, every single tool. I wouldn't dare doing this without having everything unlocked, to be honest. Here I mess up. Sometimes it happens with fights that have weird elevation like this. I'm gonna go for Mortal Draw again. See, its posture is already like in the red, so now it's gonna recharge far lower than it did before. She's doing this combo quite a lot, which I very much appreciate. I don't know how I don't get hit on that one. Sometimes the hitboxes are just as bad for them as they are for me, I suppose. There are a couple of attacks that I don't feel comfortable deflecting. I don't know whether the monk does them again for the rest of the fight, but it has happened a couple of times. There's like a big swing with a giant wind-up. For whatever reason, I thought that deflecting that attack is very hard, even though it isn't. I just suck at it. So I've basically grown accustomed to just block it, and it's better to block an attack even if it's not a perfect deflect than it is to get damage from it. Very good Corrupted Monk attempt. Went very smoothly, except for the end there. I get hit a couple of times, but one heal throughout the entire fight for a fight that literally made me uninstall the game a couple of times. No, I would say this went very well. Again, if you can, do this fight whenever you have Mortal Draw. Here I'm gonna equip a Shuriken, and looking back, this is one of the things that I think I should change if I ever try this again. This is going to be a very long fight, and the reason for that is because I basically have very little chances of actually dealing damage. And this prolongs the fight quite significantly. Here I mess up incredibly at the start, so that's great. But the reason is I don't use Mortal Draw, which would have made this fight significantly shorter. Because, unfortunately enough, there's actually, not a lot of times where you can do damage. See, here, this would have been a prime time to use Mortal Draw, and I just don't. The reason for that is because I want to keep my Spirit Emblems for the very end, for Phase 2, near the end of the fight. Shinobi Owl has, something he can do when his posture and his vitality are low enough. He can basically regenerate them He does have a little bit of wind-up, and if you attack him with any projectile during that wind-up, he interrupts it, and you're good to go. Looking back, I should have probably just used something like a ceramic shard, because those do act like shurikens. So I would have been free to use Mortal Draw and not really care about Spirit Emblems as much as I do here. Another thing that really scares me about this fight, it is a fight that I really like, but I always notice it's a fight that takes me a lot of time. And now that I look back upon it, there's a lot of ways that I could have made this fight a lot easier for myself. But the thing that scares me the most about this fight is the one smoke bomb that he throws. He's already done it a couple of times in this phase. Where this one. So if you even so much as you touch the smoke, and I'm gonna be real, sometimes it really feels like a pixel of the smoke has touched you, and it's affected, you're basically affected by it. The reason why you want to avoid that bomb is because if you're not careful and you get hit, you can no longer heal for a pretty significant amount of time. And that can be very, very scary, especially if you're if you already died once and you can't respawn. The thing is, it does make this fight relatively predictable. It is a very fun fight. It was the fight where I truly started to love Sekiro. It's this one. But you have to be careful. It's not a fight that you can take easily, nor is it a fight that really allows you to do a lot of mistakes. Like this one. Or this one. So, phase 2, a little bit more problematic. He's replaced shurikens with poison, and coupled the poison with these bombs. This means that you have so little space to work with. And with Sekiro's camera and this arena that I mentioned earlier, sometimes it's not a fun combination. This smoke bomb, the one where he basically kind of becomes invisible for a while, he always attacks from directly in front of you, so you don't have to worry having to guess from which direction he's gonna come out. So do keep that in mind. Whenever he does a smoke bomb and you're afraid of where he may come from, it's always directly ahead of you. Sorry. Another thing to keep in mind with this attack is that he can either throw the anti-heal bombs or he can do that slash. I've found that a good, I'm not sure whether we can call it technique, I like to call it praxis, is that if you see that, if he does the smoke bomb, hold block. And if you react fast enough, that means you can deflect. And if you haven't deflected the slash that he does, then you still have blocked it and you haven't received any damage. If he doesn't go for the slash, he will go for the bomb, and you still have plenty of time to avoid it, like so. Here I kind of mess up with the camera. It's not exactly the game's fault, that's entirely on me. But as you can see, the situations where you can attack Owl are very few and far between, and I'm very shy about attacking him. That somersault chop that he does, I whenever I see him that he's in the air, I like to get close to him and then deflect. The reason for that, like this, I go directly into him. The reason for that is because if you're too far away, you don't get to punish him. And this is a fight where the window for punishing him are already small as is. So you want to take as many opportunities to, hit him as you can possibly can. Very risky for me to try and interrupt that combo. sometimes it works and other times it doesn't. It's really frustrating looking back because I've been thinking about this fight specifically for a while, and I now realize I really should use ceramic shards instead of the shurikens, because that allows me to use the spirit emblems for other stuff that would have made this fight shorter than what it ended up being. This one is a very nice attack. You run to the right and you go back towards, and then when you how do I explain this? Here my the fact that English is not my native language is showing. By the way, this is the attack that I was talking about, where he can replenish himself. You want to interrupt that. But what I was trying to say is that oh god, oh, it passed me by. I've lost my train of thought. This is frustrating. But yeah, this is the fight done. I'm sorry for this. This is like the second time that I'm recording this because I accidentally like deleted my first audio recording, my first reaction to this. So I'm a little bit like lightheaded about having to redo this again. But yeah. Oh yeah, I was talking about like that black powder slash firecracker attack. I'll come back to it when the time comes, don't worry. So this is the worst fight in the game. Not just the gauntlet, like genuinely the worst fight in the game. In the base game, you can skip this if you play your cards well. Not here. So the good news is that the ape has less health and less posture than it does in the first fight, and there's a reason for that. This is a gang fight starting from phase 2. And it's a gang fight in a game that is really not, I guess, made with gang fights in mind. So for phase 1, everything that I applied to the original fight still applies here. Not much to say. This is the warring part. So I'm gonna use a ceremonial Tento because again I want to get as many usage of my Shinobi prosthetics as much as I can. Here he's gonna call his wife, and now the fight's gotten significantly worse. What you want to do, what you want to hope for, is for the headless ape to do the scream attack. The way this fight is programmed, by doing the scream attack, what happens is that while the headless ape is screaming, the wife will come at you. And you want to do that because whenever that happens, whenever there's a distance between him and the wife, it's where you can do a lot of damage and it's safer for you to do so. So even these attacks that I would very much enjoy normally, I can't take advantage of. Here I do one attack. This normally tricks the headless into the screen. So there we go, the wife comes at me, I use a Shinobi Firecracker, I use Mortal Draw, and I misinput. That was supposed to be 2 usages of Mortal Draw, and this ends up biting me in the ass quite severely. This fight does not go well. Because now, the good thing about the wife is that she doesn't have a lot of health nor posture. In fact, she has even less than the headless ape. But the issue is the times where you can attack her are few and far between. So now I'm completely out of firecrackers, which is a problem, a rather significant one, because now the stunning her is going to be a lot more problematic. Here I take risks and they don't pay off. I get my posture broken. I somehow don't get hit by that. I heal. And at this point, in my mind, I'm going, yeah, this is the run over. Because again, things went pretty badly. Here, it would have been a nice time to use my firecrackers, but I can't use them. Here, the camera is terrible, and because of that, I can't deflect properly. I lose a health bar. First death of the run, not the last one, and one of the most frustrating ones because, you know, here it's basically like it doesn't take a lot for the wife to be dead. As you can see, she doesn't have a lot of health remaining. But the situations in which I can take advantage of that are so few and far between that it really feels like it's a lost cause, effectively. So I don't know what to do. I'm getting hit, right? Here he does the scream, gives me time to heal at the very least, I think to myself. Like, again, other situations where I'm getting hit. A Hail Mary here could have gotten me killed, definitely. Heal again. I managed to stun her with a few attacks, and I'm panicking. I'm like, I need to get this bitch dead with. She gets herself into a corner. It was just like a gigantic stroke of luck, and I'm able to kill her. And now to deal with the Headless Hate proper. The nice thing is that once the wife is dead, this fight is very easy. As I said, this fight has less health and stamina than it does in the original match. Probably to compensate for the fact that this is a, you know, a gang fight. But the issue is I've barely got any spirit emblems. In fact, I can only use the spear once throughout this entire phase. Here, standard like combo that he does. I deflect the parry, and now for the one and only time I get to use this in phase 2. Stun him. He's at less than half health. He's doing the scream attack a lot more now. Would have been nice if he did it in if he had done it earlier, but it is what it is. But yeah, again, going back to what I was saying at the start of the video, as you saw, phase 2 went very poorly, and it could have ended a lot of times, and yet I still managed to win this fight. It's not over until it's over. That's a lesson that you learn the hard way. And yeah. So now I'm kinda reinvigorated, because I'm thinking to myself, okay, this could have gone better, but also it could have ended with me dying and not being able to finish the gauntlet at all. So like, I'll take it. You know, this, you're not, unless you're challenging yourself to never die, to never get hit, there is no reason to just not accept a victory for a victory. It's what I've come to learn. Is like, okay, yeah, it went poorly, but I still won in the end. I rest here again because I'm paranoid. Emma, the Gentle Blade. This should be a very easy fight, and I don't know what I was on that day, but I messed it up pretty spectacularly, all things considered. Don't know why. But it's a fight that really shouldn't last long, and it doesn't, to be fair. This is the shortest fight so far. But I do so many dumb mistakes. Here, for instance, that command grab has a huge wind-up. You're able to run away from Emma, and that allows you to punish accordingly. Her attacks have a pretty nice rhythm to them. They're not super difficult to deal with. The Mikiri counter is very easy to pull off. Here I'm not being aggressive, I want to regain my posture. I get hit there. This combo, if you deflect this attack, like the final attack, you can actually stun her. Here I take a little bit too long to run away from her. Here the door gets in my way and I get punished for it. So yeah, I lose. The second death in the entire run comes to a fight that really shouldn't kill me. Here I don't take enough distance. Here I do have quite a little bit more. I can heal. But again, these types of mistakes when I was doing my run really did impact me mentally in a negative way, because they really felt like, oh, if I'm doing mistakes like this in a very easy fight, like is the case with Emma, what am I gonna do with harder fights? And the answer to that is, I'm gonna mess up. Even in those fights, I'm gonna mess up pretty badly. Making a mistake doesn't automatically mean that you're out of the game quite yet. It can potentially mean the end of the run, but you should never take that for granted. Until you die, until you lose, you go forward. That's the mentality you should go with this in. It's like, okay, I've made a mistake. I can recover from it. It's not gonna be the end of the world if I don't immediately do things perfectly. Here I do something, it's not silly, but I do something that's relatively unnecessary in this specific attempt. Ishin has a lot of fire-based attacks in Phase 2, and having the Flame Umbrella really trivializes a lot of them. I don't end up using the Flame Umbrella because I kind of keep my my Spirit Emblems for Mortal Draw in Phase 2. But if memory serves, I really should have used Flame Umbrella more than I did. This attack, this is true for this version of Ishin as is for the final, for the Sword Saints fight. I don't know what it is with that specific Mikiri counter that sometimes I get it and other times it happens where I just dodge under his armpit. I never understood why that is and why that happens. I just come to accept it that sometimes I get the Mikiri counters and other times I don't. See, this time I get it. One tip that I will give you for this version of Ishin, and this version of Ishin only, this is the only fight in the entire game that dodges your attacks. And whenever he, like this, see? And whenever he dodges your attacks, you want to be very careful about what he does next. Normally, you want to be immediately deflecting, but sometimes he can do that command grab as well. This is a fight where being overly aggressive is not actually a good thing, specifically because of the dodge mechanic that Ishin has. If you're way too aggressive, if you spam attacks too often, it can get you killed. Here I don't see it coming and I get hit for it. But if you are aware of it, that's actually a very nice and easy deflect if you are careful. I get the Mikiri counter here. The nice thing is that Ishin doesn't have a lot of posture nor health. So ultimately this fight doesn't go too strong. Here I miss input, I do Mortal Draw. And again, I'm doing very dumb mistakes. It's not the end of the world, but for me, in the moment, it is. This attack is super scary, and learning how to deflect all of it is a nightmare, which is why I don't. If you do Mortal Draw while he's winding up, you get a lot of damage and you interrupt his attack. See, this time I actually saw the counter coming. Here I get a lot of damage. I barely avoid getting burned. See, this attack went from something that I dreaded seeing just because avoiding it with all the flame tornadoes that it spawns and the giant combo at the end that you have to perfectly dodge. It's an attack that I dreaded And now that I know that using Mortal Draw stops it fully, it's become one of the things that I look forward to the most, because you do a lot of damage to both posture and vitality. Here I get burned almost immediately. I don't know how that happens, but it's not a nice position to be in, but I'm also doing very well. I still have like all 3 of my revives. I could be doing better with the whole gourd situation, but it is what it is. Here I don't know how I don't get hit. The camera is playing tricks on me again. This arena is not great on that front. The nice thing about this fight is that there are quite a few cases and situations where you can get a nice little punish window if you know how to counter things properly. It's not... I'm not gonna say that it's an easy fight, because it certainly isn't, but it is a fight that is relatively simple to deal with once you get used to it. This attack, I swear I have never seen him do that weird like sweep fire thingy. I have never seen him do that in all my attempts, and he did this twice in one. In this specific attempt, and it caught me so off guard, but we win the fight. Again, could it have gone better? Yes. Does it matter that it didn't? Considering that you can heal and regain all your stuff in between fights, it really, really doesn't. So now we rest True Monk. Another fight that I initially grew to hate, but then I started kind of like becoming good at it again. And then it was like, oh, this fight is actually kind of fun. It's not one of my absolute favorites, but it certainly is not a bad fight, not at all. Much of Phase 1, pretty much the exact same thing as the Corrupted Monk. The issue is, well, not the issue, the difference is, as you can see, the posture on this fight for the boss does not recover nearly as fast as it did in the Corrupted Monk fight. So this makes it a lot less stressful to deal with. Much of the attacks are exactly the same. Parry and like the flag timing is exactly the same, so not really much to say for this phase other than that. Very good Phase 1, I have to say. That went very well. For Phase 2, you wanted to rappel onto that branch, and then rappel to this one. And then you do a stealth attack, and you've got Phase 2 dealt with. This phase starts with a very scary attack that's not easy to deflect at all. It happened to me accidentally once, and I didn't know what to do. So if you can't avoid it, do it. It's effectively just a really a two-phase fight when you take that into consideration. Phase 3 is really not a phase that changes a lot of things, weirdly enough. This is something that the monk gets. That spewage there does create terror buildup, and if you build it up, if you get terror to proc on you, that's an immediate death, no matter how much health you get. So it is something that you have to be careful for, but it does have a pretty big towel to where it's not super annoying to deal with. And in fact, if you see it coming, if you recognize it, it's actually a nice punish. Or at the very least, it gives you a little bit of time to recoup at the very least. I don't know how that didn't hit me. I'm gonna be completely real. Sometimes the game does like give you something, an act of kindness, if you will. I almost die here. I almost throw myself off the arena, and I get bonked for it, rightfully so. First heal of the fight, which, to be honest, this is the attack that I was talking about that I always block. Just because I feel more comfortable that way. I could learn how to deflect it, but I haven't had a lot of luck. this is the punish that I was talking about. I probably could have used Mortal Draw at that point. But yeah, not a bad corrupted monk, well, true monk fight, I should say. In fact, it went pretty well, looking back at it. I've had attempts that were very frustrating and didn't go as planned. This was not one of them, and I'm very happy about how this fight went. Resting. Next fight is, in my opinion, the best fight in the game. Technically, there's another version of this fight that is just as good, but I would personally argue that version is better. But this one is nothing to scoff at as well. So, whenever he backs out after doing the after throwing the black powder, he almost always does a Mikiri count, like does a stab that you can Mikiri counter. That other black powder attack version, you wanna avoid it by dodging and running to your right, and that directly puts you behind Owl. And what you can do is you do a mortal draw and you do quite a lot of damage. This is my favorite fight in the game. I think it's perfect, genuinely, as far as like Sekiro is concerned. Weird jump punish there. I don't know how I got that. I interrupt the combo, very risky, and I interrupted twice. I'm not quite sure how I pulled that one off. See? Like that. And there you go, boom. Mortal draw. That's a very nice punish. I am gonna tell you, I do mess it up quite a bit. There are a couple of times where I see that and I dodge either the wrong way or too late and I get hit by it, even though I shouldn't, really. Like that. See, I run to the left and that nearly kills me. Also, I didn't say this, and this is true of any version of the Owl fight. Don't do stab attacks against Owl. He will Mikiri counter you, and more often than not, you are gonna die because of that. I used to do like stab attacks after the somersault chop that he does, because that does give you a nice little window to do stab attacks just to flex, and then it got me killed a couple of times and then I stopped doing it because I realized the flex was just not worth the risk. So phase 1 could have gone a little bit better, but it also didn't go poorly enough to where I'm like, yeah, you know, this is gonna suck. I pause here because I'm taking a break, and then I restart. Like, I start recording again when I come back from break. Free cam a lot, always like have an eye behind your back, because Owl, whenever he does teleport, he'll almost always be behind you, and you want to be careful about that. This is an attack that you always jump, and if you play your cards right, you do get a Mikiri counter after it. I like to keep distance whenever I see him summoning the Owl, and what that translates to is that while I am able to jump on top of it, I am not able to get the Mikiri counter because Owl just kind of falls short, and we're just way too far away from each other in order to take advantage of our respective attacks. Here I get a another punish with Mortal Draw, It doesn't usually happen, because more often than not, Owl will disappear after that attack, and usually that does end with me wasting a mortal draw. By the way, what I was saying earlier about... see, there it is. Like, he disappeared and I didn't get the mortal draw. Here, I almost get hit. But yeah, what I was saying earlier about not always getting the Mikiri counter is what happened earlier. Is like we were way too far away from each other, so he didn't hit me, but I also didn't get to punish him. Which is not the case here. I go directly beneath him. Could have gotten hit. I didn't. Glad for that. That weird charge that he does, this one, you can get like 2 slashes before you have to immediately deflect. I do believe you can interrupt it with like Mortal Draw. I know you can interrupt it with like the Flame Vent. I stopped doing that because just it was a waste of Spirit Emblems. You get 2 shots in, you get a deflect, that's fine. Here I kind of hesitating a little bit, I only get 1. But like, this fight has a way of always making me like lock in. And just as I say that, I mess on something that I almost never mess up on. Oh, the timing. But yeah, it has a way of making me lock in to where I'm like basically doing as few mistakes as I possibly can. I'm not sure what it is. Maybe it's just because I really like the fight and that helps me concentrate. Or maybe it's just a very good fight. I think both are probably true. See, 2 shots, deflect. Kitty counter, there we go, I get it this time. And that's Owl Father done with. As I said, one of my favorite fights in the game. The inner version of Owl Father is perhaps even better. It is harder, admittedly, but it's also like very good. Very favorite fight of mine. Quick word of warning here. First of all, I'm taking the Flame Umbrella because we are going to need it for the next fight. However, for whatever reason, I remembered to record only after like I had already gotten into the fight, so you didn't get to see the transition. But it did happen, I promise. Yeah, Demon of Hatred. The first time that I beat this fight, my hands were shaking. And that had happened only another time when I finished the Elden Ring DLC with the final boss of that DLC. I'm not going to spoil it if you haven't played it yet, but yeah. The funny thing is, I think this fight is plenty doable, and overall it has like, it doesn't like have a lot of mix-ups that it can do. Basically everything is genuinely like, it only like everything functions in the same way. It doesn't have like that quality that other boss fights has where it mixes up its combos. If it starts a combo, it's always gonna end the same way. So that can make this fight pretty predictable. The first time you do fight it, it may seem like the hardest fight in the game, and I'm not gonna say that it's the easiest, but I think that on every other attempt that isn't your first, this does become like a very manageable fight, in my humble opinion. It is especially manageable when I don't fuck up like this. In spite of that, in spite of like being a fight that I think is pretty easy to manage, it is a fight that is very long, and because of that, making mistakes is pretty easy. See, here I do one. I don't get damaged, but I do get blown away. This attack here, usually he does only if there's like a lot of distance between the two of you. And this isn't the first time he has done it so far, but both times he does it very like close to me, and I'm not quite sure why. It's an attack that I really hate because dodging it is super difficult from afar. From up close, it's actually very easy. Here I take distance because of this. Yeah, he is gonna damage you if you stay close to him. It's better. See, this attack right here. This is why you have the umbrella. No joke, that's the only reason, to be completely honest, because avoiding every other fire attack in this fight is not difficult. This combo is very easy. You dodge to the left twice, you deflect, and then you dodge into him. This attack is almost impossible. I don't know what the timing for that one is. I have jumped on top of it, but it's much more consistent to use the umbrella. If you have the flame umbrella, you take no burn buildup. You also take no damage. It's just a very good tool for this fight. It also helps that the flame umbrella really only costs like 1 spirit emblem per pop. So that makes it a very good tool all around, especially in this fight. This attack, whenever you see him running, you just run a little bit away, and then as he's coming down, you position yourself in such a way that you can use the grappling hook and close the distance. Very rarely do I get like a couple of shots in. This time I get it, but it's pretty weird timing and positioning. I'm gonna be completely honest. More often than not, you're not gonna hit him. Here I mess up the dodge timings. I go for the umbrella because I'm thinking he's gonna do something else. I'm gonna be honest. This attempt has a lot of combos and attacks that I've never seen before. Before this attempt, that catch me off guard pretty frequently. I did not know how to deal with that in my first attempt, and then it's super easy. You just jump over it. It's kind of that's the story with this fight. It's very difficult because there's just a lot of it, and it's not a fight that that you can deflect a lot of attacks. So after all this time that you've been conditioned that deflecting is like key, having a fight that basically plays with that is a bit nightmarish, but once you know how to deal with it, it's actually pretty okay. This attack is usually one that I always look forward to, because he does it when I'm very far away from him, and this time he does it like when I'm super close to him and I don't know how to react, and I get stumped by a tree, and I almost get killed for it. It's like, it all goes perfectly well, and then one mistake leads to another one, that leads to another one, and I'm almost dead, and I'm scared shitless. Here I do something that I didn't even know was possible. Apparently, like that attack you can perfectly deflect with the umbrella, and it stuns him a little bit. It was completely accidental. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend that I've done it multiple times, but it is like very cool that it happened. This attack I always stay away from. He always does it in phase 3. He usually opens with it, but it's not a guaranteed. Here I get hit. It's not a guarantee that he does the Ring of Fire, but if he does, that's a lot of space that you cannot work with anymore. So I always like to be outside the Ring of Fire just because it's a little bit more manageable for me. He doesn't get a lot of new attacks. He does this one. Let's see if he does it. He can now like follow that sweep up with different things. He can do that attack that I wasn't a fan of. Here I don't take nearly enough distance and I pay the price for it. See, this is where it happens. He usually does this attack when I'm well and truly far away from him, and that makes like running away a lot easier. really, this fight is a lot more about positioning than it is about deflecting. You kind of have to be aggressive, but also have to be like in the right position at all times in order to avoid attacks and such. Let's see if he does it here. No, he doesn't. Again, another time where he does the weird soul thingy projectile attack very close to me. He never does this, and he does this twice. This is just a very cursed run the more I think about it, just because stuff like this keeps happening. I take enough distance and I avoid being in a ring of fire, thankfully. But now I have to be careful, keeping an eye out for any kanji or anything, because he can do the unblockable sweep from the ring of fire. And here he does the follow-up, so be very careful, because if before jumping once over it was enough, now you have to be careful because he can come back at you with another unblockable sweep. Again, he doesn't get a lot of attacks. The few attacks he gets are attacks that you have to be like on the lookout for. Another reason, this is another fight where I don't use Mortal Draw often, just because using the umbrella and having access to it is far better. A tip that I can give you, whenever he does like, there is an attack where he throws like fireballs. One good way to avoid some of the more harder to dodge attacks, like the slam with the palm that I use the umbrella for, the 3 projectiles that he throws with his hand. Usually a good rule of thumb is just to stick to the Demon of Hatred like glue. Because you really don't want to have like a lot of space between you and him. Because if there is a lot of space between the two of you, he will do those very difficult to dodge attacks. Here I realized that before fighting Ishin, we have to fight Genichiro. I go back to the Lazulite flame vent. I don't know why. I'm fairly sure that I don't use it this entire run. Maybe I just like the icon. I don't know. I have used it in the past in other fights. It's just that I never used it in this gauntlet. So yeah, there's that. Very easy fight. Shortest fight in the entire gauntlet. It always starts the same way, and that allows you to go behind them and do Mortal Draw. After this combo, he always does a stab attack, which allows you to Mikiri counter it. This one, I don't risk it, I just jump away. It's not like I need to take risks in this fight. Mikiri counter, and there you go. It didn't happen here. By the way, a flawless fight. It didn't happen here, but Genichiro can do his whole like jumping in the air, stabbing in the ground attack, and in this fight you have to be careful because he can end it one of 3 ways. He can do a stab attack, he can do a sweep, or he can do like a deflectable like slash. It's like phase 2 of the first rematch. Didn't happen here. It's okay. You're not gonna need a lot of help for this fight at this point in the game. I used to not like Sword Saint Ishin. There's a couple of like, I guess you could call it pet peeves that I have with this fight. Uneven terrain, which makes some Mikiri counters very difficult to pull off. Like, they're very iffy. Sometimes I get them, sometimes I don't. But also there's like an issue with like the flowers, because sometimes they can kind of get in the way. The reeds do have occasionally a habit of like obscuring some of his attacks. But overall, once you deal with them, it's not super difficult when you get familiar with this fight. 2 Mikiri counters in a row. That's rare. One tip that I can give you, if you're having problems with the uneven terrain, if you don't like it, near the end of the arena there's like a bridge. That bridge is like completely flat. At the very least, like the initial part of the bridge is completely flat, and that is a very good place to in which you can fight Ishin. When he does Ashina Cross, which is like that cross slash, it does have quite a bit of a wind up, and you can use the Spark Axe to get a nice punish. I wouldn't recommend using the follow-up attack with the Spark Axe because he can punish you for that. I use it here and nothing happened, but it's like a 50-50. This combo doesn't always end with the stab, I've learned. Again, it's one of those instances where every other attempt, he always did one thing, and then in this run, he just starts pulling out stuff that he always had and that he just never did to me. It's not the only fight that does this, but this is one of the more important cases in my opinion. If you're having trouble with this fight, Ishin, see, there is this. Usually he always does like the stab that you can Mikiri counter. I've learned that he has a sweep in this fight. I swear, in all my attempts before stream, he never did the sweep. This attack right here, huge wind up, just run away. I know you can probably interrupt it with like mortal draw and things like that. I just don't feel confident enough in doing it, so I take my distance. As I was saying, if you're having trouble with this fight, Ishin himself gives you a fantastic piece of advice. Hesitation is defeat. This is a fight that punishes you pretty severely for being shy about dealing damage. This is a death that I really wish didn't happen, because now at this point in the run, every little mistake, every little death scares me a lot more than normal, because I'm afraid of like having to do the entire thing all over again. But yeah, as you can see, whenever like I have a moment, which in this fight there are plenty, I'm always in Ishin's face. I'm always attacking him. I'm always reacting to what he's doing. I'm not being passive. I am being as aggressive as as I can before like doing mistakes, because this is in fact a fight that will punish you. For like retreating too much and not like being in Ishin's face at all times. Learning that is one of the best things about this fight. And the thing is, I feel like Ishin has a good balance of like health and posture. He's not too low on either. Not a big fan of phase 2, I will say that. The spear does have a few attacks that threw me off still. Phase 3 is a gimme. You get lightning reflex, you get the possibility like openings for mortal draw. This attack is very easy, you just run away, and he pretty much will never get you. But yeah, the fact that lightning reversal is a thing here makes this fight significantly easier. Again, lots of damage, lots of posture damage. Doing the second slash of Mortal Draw is a bit risky, I found out. Because he will recover before you can get the second slash out. Barely dodged that projectile. I say this is easy, but it's like lightning reversal that got me killed in like my best attempt prior to this one at the very end. So do be careful, but yeah, it is a phase that lasts very little because of it. So after this, there's only like the inner fights left, and that's a good thing. The inner fights, without a shadow of a doubt, the hardest fights in the game. They will test you, and if I remember correctly, Inner Genichiro, I do so many mistakes that should have gotten me killed. Inner Father, I kind of lock the fuck in, and it goes very well. Inner Ishin, I do a couple of mistakes that really scare me and make me fear that I'm gonna have a repeat of the fated attempt where I died at the very last attack. So now I don't do it here. A tip that I heavily recommend you: take a break. Don't close the game, because if you do close the game, you basically go back to the start of the gauntlet. But take a break. This attack, Sakura Dance, a bitch to deal with. You wanna deflect the two attacks. There's a certain rhythm to them. You may find that even if you deflect them, if it's not a perfect deflect, you will get damage. But deflect the two attacks and then dodge inside. And once you're inside, like outside of the area of effect of Sakura Dance, you can do whatever. You can do a Mortal Draw, which I do here. You can use anything else that deals damage to Genichiro. Inner Genichiro is the fight that gains the most out of any of the inner fights. He gets a lot more tools. See? I do it poorly, but the idea is you deflect the first two attacks, and then you go inside and punish Genichiro for that. The thing about Inner Genichiro is that he gains a few attacks, and the attacks and combos that he already had, he can mix them up even more now. Like, this combo no longer doesn't necessarily end in the same way that it did before. So what was a guaranteed way to finish it sometimes can prove to be a surprise attack that you're not ready for. This is a fight that demands that for you to be on point, like on the ball, every single second. See, I deflect perfectly the first two attacks, and then I unfortunately miss the punish on the third one. I could have healed here. I take a pretty big risk and go for the punish instead. I am able to heal though. You will see that I do Mortal Draw even if I don't have Spirit Emblems for it. It's just because it still does a lot of a lot of damage and posture damage. In spite of like not having the range that it did before, it's still like a very good option. Had I gotten Mortal Draw there, I think that would have been a perfect punish. And sadly I didn't, but it's fine. So long as I don't get damage on the first two, I consider that a win, to be completely honest. Sakura Dance is one of the scariest attacks. You do get it, and I am fairly sure like it's a very good technique to have. I just haven't really made a lot of use of it. As I said much earlier in the video, the attack phase 3 always starts the same way. He goes for the Mikiri counter here. Always be on the ball for that one. Sometimes he does, sometimes he doesn't. Now here's a fun thing. So you deflect, and then he deflects, and then you have to deflect again. So it's a ping pong match. If you're not careful, this is a very nasty surprise. I imagine the first time you do this fight and you don't know that is a thing, that will get you. That will get you killed. My god, I can't talk. The nice thing is that he always does it with any and all like lighting reversal. So no matter the attack, if he does a lighting attack and you reverse it, he'll always reverse it back. You don't have to guess or like pay attention as to whether he's gonna do a second reversal or not. So there is at the very least that little bit of certainty that he's gonna reverse the attack back. But yeah, Ina Genichiro could have gotten better, to be fair, but it is one of the fights that scares me the most, just because he gains so much and he's so much harder to deal with, I think. And you have to be so much more careful with what you do. Sakura Dance is the scariest thing about this fight, I think, personally. But yeah, it is something that you wanna always be on the ball for. So now is Inner Father. Initially, I didn't like this fight as much as other people in the community. I thought it was good because it's built up on top of a very, very, very good fight. But I didn't think the changes were really all that much. I do appreciate them now, and you're gonna see them whenever they appear. But phase 1, usually pretty straightforward, not that much different compared to the original fight. So I may not be able to say a lot more, to be really honest. Here, dumb mistake. There is the column right there, so maybe that's why I didn't run to the right when I know that's what you're supposed to do. See, there it is. This is how you do it. Luckily, posture broken on that attack, and funnily enough, Owl seems to be programmed to do the stomp no matter the distance whenever he catches you with your posture down. Could have deflected that a little bit better. Really, there's not much for me to say during phase 1, just because it's pretty much the same as phase 1 of the original Owl fight. So really, if you watched that one, you kind of watched this one as well. I'm already out of emblems. It's okay, you get to use them a lot more in phase 1 than you do in phase 2. This is probably why I am not like a super big fan. Like, it's not that I dislike this fight, I just didn't get the hype initially, because phase 1 is pretty much identical to phase 1 of the original fight. Phase 2 is where things really do change a lot more. But compared to Genichiro, which is like an immediately different fight that it was in the first rematch. And yeah, you can kind of start to see why I don't think this fight is as incredible. We did see a bit of a preview of the gimmick, so you may have saw that he did like a teleport during one of the attacks, during one of the combos. That is the Mist Raven tool that we also have access to. And phase 2, he gets several combos revolving around Mist Raven, and you kind of have to be careful for them. This is the big change for me, the one that makes me super careful. You see, this is a new combo, but it is made up entirely of attacks that he did have previously. He just like teleports between one attack and the other, and you have to be like very careful. It is very cool, but it's also like one of those things, like when you recognize the first attack, you know what every other like piece of the combo is gonna be. So he doesn't mix up, he doesn't like start in one way and then the second attack is always something different. No, it's always the same thing. So once you recognize the combo, it's very easy to punish it. This is the big change. The Owl now can come at you in one of two different ways. So phase 1, way 1, the first way it can come at you is same way as it did before, so horizontally, and you have to jump over it. The other new way is that he comes at you vertically. And for that one, you need to run away. Like, straight up, you run away. Because of this, whenever I see that he summons the owl, I go as far away as possible to give me enough time to react to which version he's gonna use. Here I get very scared. I don't know how either of those attacks didn't like hit me. I'm personally shocked about it, but I'll take it. But yeah, because of the distance that I take between me and you know, Owl Father whenever he does that attack, it's basically impossible for me to get the Makiti counter. I know that it absolutely should be possible, and if you're a better player than me, you will get it, but I like to be safe, and having that gigantic distance between me and him, see, I back up, and here I can't get the Makiti counter, but it's fine because I didn't get any damage, and risking getting damaged is to me not worth the potential like punishment that I could give the boss, all things considered. I'll take it steady. I'm gonna be like safe. I'd rather be safe than sorry. Other than that, basically the same fight as before. You will see that each fight gets less and less new stuff, which is a little bit disappointing, but the new stuff that Owl gets is really pretty nice. So there's that. Could have hit him there. I'm being super careful here. It's later in the run, and I'm even more adverse to risks than I already am. I almost get hit there, to be honest. It's almost like I didn't expect it for whatever reason. I always try to get Mortal Draw, I just can't this fight like I could in the previous one. I'm stubborn. If I think something works the first time, then I'm thinking that it'll always work, and that's just genuinely not true in this case. But I try to get it. I said earlier that I'm not taking risks. Sometimes that's true, and other times it's like, maybe I am taking a few more risks than I ought to. Very weird interaction here. And then we end in style with a jump counter. So yeah, not much to say about this fight, because honestly, I just don't think it changes all that much compared to the original one. If something works there, then it's gonna work here. The next fight, it's the final fight in the Gauntlet. It's the one that changes the least. But there is a couple of things that you have to be very careful about the new stuff that it does get. So here I'm choosing my tools. I'm choosing the Mist Raven tool and the Sparking Axe. There's a reason for that, and we're gonna see it immediately. So a pro tip that I'm giving you right now: the fight with Inner Ishin always starts with his new charge attack. He always uses this at the start of the round, at the start of the boss. But weirdly enough, he only does so in phase 1. He never uses it in phase 2. So what you want to do is you get close to him, you get 2 slashes in, and then you pop Mist Raven immediately. This will allow you to dodge the attack safely and basically punish him. I would have liked getting the Mikiri counter. Again, I don't get it. It's iffy with this fight. It is what it is. I go for Sparking Axe here because of this. So he will do Ashen Across, and then you do Sparking Axe. He is weak to fire. I have gotten a few procs of burn, but I've only have it like happened once, and I was never able to replicate it. So you run to the right, then you go behind him. There I should have gotten hit. It's why you don't want to go for the Sparking Axe like follow-up attack, because it's very dangerous. It will get you hit. So just do Sparking Axe once, don't do the follow-up. And as you can see, phase 1 is already like gone. It goes by very fast. Phase 2, he gets 1 attack, and that new attack can end one of 2 ways. It's something that you have to be very careful for. Here he does the sweep. I managed to react to it. This is the new attack. So take a little bit of distance and then be very careful about what he does in the end. If there's like the danger glyph, like the danger kanji, he's gonna go for a stab, and you can do a Mikiri counter off of that. If not, he's gonna do like a circular saw attack thing, and the only way that I found to avoid that one is to just run away from it. I don't know what I did here. This is the first of many dumb mistakes caused by panic. This is the end of the run, and I'm doing like stupid mistakes, and I'm getting in my own head. There's like things can get so poorly now. I don't want a repeat of last time. I just want to get this done with, and I'm getting into my own head while at the same time I'm trying to beat the boss. And this leads to a lot of like very silly mistakes. And this is another reason why you take breaks, because that way you're a little bit more calm between fights, and you know, you aren't as nervous as I was while doing this. This is the old charge attack. Again, not sure why they didn't give him the new charge attack here. I am grateful, because that new charge attack is a bitch to deal with, and it's much scarier. So here I run away, and this is the attack that I was talking about. Theoretically speaking, you can get a Spark Axe after this, but I saw how many like Spirit Emblems I had, and I decided I'm gonna keep those for Mortal Draw in phase 3. It's better that way, I'm thinking to myself. Here I barely get the Mikiri counter. I'm looking at it, and even now I thought he was gonna go for the other ender. And genuinely, I think, had I not gotten that, that would have been the end of the run. Here I get hit. He fortunately does a follow-up that gives me enough time to re-heal. I'm scared shitless. I'm doing so many mistakes here, and somehow it's not the end of the run, even though arguably it should be for a lot of those mistakes. again, it's easier said than done to keep your calm even in the face of these mistakes. But, you know, it is vital that you don't lose your cool. Yes, you are going to mess up. There are going to be opportunities for you to correct ship, you know, to correct course. You just have to be very careful and not let it get to your head. Bit of a frame rate drop over here. Kitty counter and phase 2 is done with. I am breathing a sigh of relief over there, because now I can die again and it's not the end of the run. But I'm still very much scared. Here I go for a second slash. It's very dangerous for you to do so. Here I do the mistake that cost me the run, and I'm having like Vietnam flashbacks over that because I mess up the lighting deflect, and that's what got me killed in the first attempt. So again, I am a combination of paranoid, I'm a combination of scared, I'm doing very silly mistakes, but I get back in the games. You know, I'm not letting this happen a second time. I want to get this done with. It's not the end, it's not over till it's over. And then I'm finally I get back into the game. I manage to correct course again, as I said earlier. I'm healing even though arguably maybe I didn't need to, and this is it. One final Mikiri counter, and this is the end of the mortal journey. Genuinely speaking, one of my proudest moments. It is very hard, but you saw my run with this. You saw and you've noticed that I'm not good at the game, that I do so many dumb mistakes, and my technique is not there. I don't really have the creativity to do some crazy setups and things like that. And in spite of that, I managed to get it done. To me, this only means that if I'm able to do it, anybody can. And maybe it's not even doing the gauntlet. Maybe it's just finishing the game. I know a lot of people that aren't really fans of the game. And really the message that I want to leave you with at the very end is Sekiro is a game that really rewards you for getting good at it. And it's gonna take you quite a lot for you to get good. But when you do, it's unlike anything else FromSoft has done, in my opinion. So thank you for watching. Sorry this has taken quite a lot. Sorry if this is perhaps not how you wanted to see this. But I am glad that I've done it. This is all the proof that I can give you. Thanks again for everything, for being with me all this time. I do want to continue the streams. I am kind of working on the Fable 2 script whenever I have a little bit of time, but it's not a lot, I'm telling you that much. I want to continue streaming because that does allow me to keep in touch with you all. So, thank you for everything. I'll see you next time.